Throughout this video we're going to be talking about spoilers for 3 Kirby games, one of which is just released. If you care about spoilers for Kirby games, make sure you watch this video after playing those 3 titles. Memorable characters are an important aspect of a game. Hell, would franchises like Mario and Sonic even be a thing if it wasn't for their distinct designs? And no character has a more iconic design, in my opinion, than Kirby. This pink blob is simple, charming, but most importantly, memorable. Their silhouette is recognisable from a mile away. But why is this? And why is Kirby even designed this way? That's what I'm here to discuss. Let's cut to the basics. The basics of character design. It's said that there are 3 basics to character designs: the silhouette of a character, the character's colour palette, and how the character is exaggerated. Starting with silhouette, this just describes how the outline of a character can be recognisable. I'm sure most of us have seen the meme that was going around a few months ago where people will put a random character next to a few recognisable silhouettes. Kirby is actually a really good example of this. Instantly from the image you will be able to tell which one is Kirby with a very simple design. It stands out compared to the other characters shown here. Next is the palette. Palette just describes the colours used for a character. Less colours normally equate to a more memorable design, which is why characters will try to stick to about 3 colours at most. Like Mario, he has red, blue and white. Sonic has blue, white and red. Kirby changes this by having basically one colour make up his entire character. Pink. Yes, their feet are a slightly different colour, darker red, but it's still a shade of pink in the end of the day. This helps especially as everyone remembers that they are pink, and compared to other platforming characters they stand out with their own inviting pink colour. Now on to exaggeration. Exaggeration is the utilisation of certain aspects of a character to allow the character to be more easily read by the player or audience. Kirby is very exaggerated in their mouth, and the way they move their arms. Obviously, if you've played Kirby, you know that they are insanely expressive with their mouth as it can open insanely wide. However, they are also expressive with their eyes. Their eyes grow and shrink and display different emotions in varying situations. This also applies to the arms and legs, which stretch and squish to show emotion. With a combination of these 3, Kirby is able to depict any emotion with ease, something that makes the character very easy to read, whilst keeping a very simple character design. Speaking of Kirby's shape, let's have a look at shape language. Shape language is the use of shapes in order to show off what a character is like, even without having to look at their personality or their colour or anything else to do with them. The 3 shapes we'll be covering in this video are circles, squares and triangles. Circles are normally used as a very soft shape, described as squishy, harmless, approachable and easily changeable. Squares are described as solid, sturdy and strong, as well as being supportive, reliable and inflexible, unable to change their ways. Triangles, on the other hand, are described as sharp, dangerous and unpredictable, much like how in England triangle signs are used for warnings, showcasing that the sharp design of a triangle is used to depict danger. The circle is obviously the shape that Kirby uses, and each trait that the circle has is shown within Kirby. Throughout the games they are shown to be very soft and squidgy, although normally appearing harmless. They are approachable due to the fact that they make friends very easily throughout the games, and can easily change into many different copy abilities throughout each game. The other most prominent part of Kirby's design is their colour. But what does the colour pink mean? According to colour theory, the colour pink normally gives off vibes of softness, calmness and respectfulness. All of these traits are seen in Kirby. The red on their shoes could even represent energy, love and strength, all things that Kirby either has themselves or shows to their friends. Kirby also follows the important rule of keeping a design simple, having less than 3 colours. Well, that describes everything about Kirby and how their design is so well made. What about the other characters within the franchise? How do their designs line up? We'll be looking at 3 more characters within the Kirby franchise, which all have very unique designs, which showcase the areas I haven't covered yet. Starting off with Marx. Marx is your ally throughout the Milky Way Wishes sub-game in Kirby Superstar. Throughout the game, he is a small little jester, with a similar shape and composure to Kirby. However, once their true form is revealed, he becomes bat-like, sprouting wings with mirrors acting as scales under the golden wings. Marx, in his base form, follows a similar pattern to Kirby in terms of character design. A similar silhouette, a relatively small amount of colours used, although the exaggeration isn't really used on Marx, showing that they are similar to Kirby, but they're not the same. They also retain Kirby's circular and friendly shape, telling both Kirby and the player that he is to be trusted and someone who can help you throughout your journey. In his original appearance, Marx appears as a dark pink colour, however over time this colour has become more purplish. Obviously, pink can show that a character can be calm, soft and respected, however it can also show gratitude, something that Marx shows towards Kirby throughout their adventure together. The darker shade of pink may also suggest that he is more sinister than he appears. Revealed once he steals the wish and reveals his true form, Marx's true form is a larger and more threatening version of himself, his silhouette being significantly large and threatening compared to his appearance before. His colour palette stays the same, continuing with the purple with the red and blue hat, however his body shape becomes more triangular compared to his disguised form. This gives him a sharper appearance, more threatening and dangerous. His fangs have also emphasised within his design. They become larger and more prominent compared to the rest of his body. His mouth is also stretched more, mainly with his attacks, where his mouth will open wide when he's charging up a beam. The purple within his design could represent royalty, how Marx sees himself. It also represents justice, a contradiction of what Marx's character represents, as even though Kirby trusted him, he still betrays him and uses that power to threaten Kirby's homeworld. These ideas are emphasised within the Marx soul design, as it becomes more purple with red wings instead of the usual gold. Moving on to the next character, we have Void Termina. Void Termina is the final boss of Kirby Star Allies, being summoned by Highness in order to destroy the galaxy. Void Termina appears as an insanely large, bulky beast who towers over Kirby and their friends. Void Termina's soul, however, appears as a circular being just a floating circle with a face. Their face appears to be similar to Kirby, however can become more eerie and creepy as the fight goes on. Void Termina, being the blocky giant that he is, has a very distinct silhouette in the Kirby franchise, being very large and threatening compared to the other final bosses throughout the series. Termina's colour palette, however, gives him a more complex design compared to the other characters in the series, sprouting 4 main colours of blue, purple, gold and grey. The exaggeration of his design comes from his towering height and overall bulkiness, causing him to force the camera into a different view just so you can see most of his body. This suggests just how powerful he is, as his height compared to Kirby is terrifying. Void Termina also gains a square shape from his bulkiness, showing how he is solid, strong, inflexible and sturdy. This is echoed in his boss fight, where Kirby requires the power of the Star Allies Sparkler in order to defeat him, having to weaken him first before entering inside him to finish him off. Void Termina's colours can also tell us a bit about his character. Just from an image of him, the blue hint of his skin tone suggests power and success. The purple tint suggests royalty and justice. And the gold on his wrist suggests that he is at the top, the alpha, the number one. Once Void Termina is weakened and the casing around his soul is destroyed, the inner workings of his soul is revealed. Void Termina's inner soul has a very simplistic silhouette, even within the Kirby franchise, being just a floating circle. The usual implication of a circular shape being friendly is flipped on its head here, as Void Termina is still the destroyer of worlds. This oddly simplistic stature of his silhouette and little to no exaggeration could suggest that we don't know and will never be able to grasp his true form, and this is just a front he is using to fight Kirby. As compared to his physical body, his soul seems small and powerless. His purple tint could again suggest that he is a figure of authority and justice. His soul, however, also contains many other colours that flow around him and create patterns, giving him a simplistic yet complex design. Whilst on the topic of Void Termina, let's talk about his alternate colour palettes. His first comes from when you play the Ultimate Choice, so the Star Allies equivalent of the arena, on Soul Melter difficulty. This version of Void Termina has a brighter colour palette, swapping his blue tones for white ones instead. This could suggest more purity, showing how this variation of Void Termina is more pure and harder than his standard counterpart. When fought on Soul Melter EX difficulty, Void Termina swaps to a black and red colour palette, suggesting darkness and strength. Void Termina's soul also changes when his colour palette changes, however they count as separate characters from the previously mentioned Void Termina's soul. For Void Melter, the soul becomes Void Soul, a blue tinted version of the previously mentioned soul. Blue can portray power and success, something that Void Termina would likely see, judging how he is able to destroy galaxies. Within Soul Melter EX, we meet Void. This white entity portrays purity, being the inner soul of the true destroyer of worlds and the true final boss of Kirby Star Allies. And now, we'll look at the final character. Magolor is the driving force and antagonist of Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Magolor is a small, adorable magician from another dimension. Magolor drives the Lure Starcutter, and after crashing it, he asks Kirby to collect energy spheres and the missing parts of his ship. Once obtaining the various parts of his ship, Magolor travels with Kirby to Halcandra so they can defeat Landir and obtain the Master Crown. After obtaining the Master Crown, Magolor transforms into a larger, spectral-esque version of himself after gaining limitless power, now known as Traitor Magolor. After threatening Planet Popstar, he gets defeated by Kirby, but then the Master Crown takes full control of his body, contorting his body into a more of a winged beast-like form, with his ears stretching downwards and large wings sprouting out of his back. Magolor's character design starts very simple. He has a very simple silhouette that allows him to blend in with the four protagonists of the game. His colour palette is simple, with blue as his primary colour and lots of yellow accents, allowing him to keep in line with the protagonist. However, unlike the main cast, he exaggerates with his hands, constantly moving them around to showcase what emotion he is feeling, rather than pulling a face like Kirby and their friends. Magolor's shape also helps fit him in, having a circular shape with only two small cat-like ears sticking out from the top. This gives him an insanely friendly vibe, which is echoed through his dialogue and the way he treats Kirby throughout the majority of the game. The colours his wear helps portray this as well, with blue indicating trust and yellow indicating positivity and warmth. While for Traitor Magolor, his silhouette is unlike anyone else within Return to Dreamland, appearing larger and sharper, a contrast to how he appeared earlier and compared to the other playable characters. Magolor still sticks with having two colours though, allowing his design to stay recognisable and simple. Magolor keeps the exaggeration in his hands, using them to prepare and use attacks. However, instead of being a round circular shape like his normal form, Traitor Magolor takes on a triangle shape, being sharper and more dangerous to both Kirby and the universe. His choice of colours tells us a lot as well. Magolor is shown to drop the yellow accents in favour for red new ones. This suggests that all joy has been dropped in favour of anger and strength, things that Magolor has gained since taking control of the Master Crown. Then, once defeated, the Master Crown takes full control and reveals Magolor's true form. This form makes an even stranger, skinnier bat-like silhouette, with his long ears protruding downwards, making him stick out like a sore thumb, even compared to the previous forms of Magolor. His colour scheme still sticks to two basic colours, keeping his semi-complex design grounded and consistent with every iteration of himself. Like his previous form, his exaggeration comes from the use of his hands, moving them around a lot and using them to wind up and summon attacks. Magolor sticks to the same triangular shape as his last form, with his ears acting as the tip of the triangle. His palette changes from his red from his last form into a gold this time. The gold represents success and is commonly linked with being a champion or royalty, both things that the Master Crown has made Magolor. Aside from the main story of Return to Dreamland, Magolor makes a few more appearances, displaying different character traits through his design. The first would be his various EX designs throughout the Extra mode. Traitor Magolor becomes red and black, symbolising action, the essence of evil and death. All of those things give a bit more of a threatening look compared to his previously goofy character that was Magolor. Instead of transforming into his usual final phase, Traitor Magolor instead transforms into Magolor Soul. Magolor Soul is a blackened version of the boss that we once knew, with silver chains and a silver crown to boot. The black returns representing evil and death, however the silver can represent the opening of the mind. This theme is echoed through the sheer power of the Master Crown, having taken over Magolor's body and caused him to open his mind to the true power of itself. Magolor also appears in his own sub-game in Return to Dreamland Deluxe, in which the interdimensional traveller appears with a greyed out colour palette. This palette suggests that all of his powers are drained and he's now lost everything that once made him Magolor. After the events of the interdimensional traveller, Magolor becomes Shopkeeper Magolor, a happy little guy who's willing to drain your bank account so you can fight bosses. His colour palette, now green and white, represent both the shop and innocence. This helps show us that Magolor has changed, from being a previously cunning liar to now being a helpful buddy to Kirby, helping him fight various bosses, even if it's in exchange for the funny numbers on your mother's credit card. And that's it! There were the various Kirby characters we looked at today. As we all know, character design is very important, and it helps people connect to a character. However, a great character design will stick for generations. Clearly a lot of thought goes into designing these characters in order to make them fit within the Kirby universe. Kirby and the characters within their series have iconic designs that will last forever and never get stale. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.